Welcome everybody to We Geek Podcast. Today is December 31st, last day of the year. And we got a pretty big show. We weren't here last week. And there's a lot to talk about. And there's a lot of people to remember, man.
Yeah.
So many more people passed away than I realized this year. 2018's just been crazy. But we're here, and we got a big show for you. My name is Adam, joined by my good friend Logan.
Hello.
What up, dude? How's your week been? Busy, I take it?
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, everyone's, well, not us, but a lot of people are off work. Kids are out of school. I imagine they're in the theater. Man, this time of year is just weird.
Yeah, no kidding.
I feel like everyone gets a break but me. Or you.
And me.
Right. Man, I look around and I'm like, oh, everyone's got off, everyone's doing stuff. It's like, oh, man, how? How does that happen? And it's like it's in a weird spot because there's really the news, it's kind of far and in between. There's some new things that were released that we watched. Content creators really aren't doing anything these last few weeks.
Well, like everybody's putting up like like what we're doing, a year in review thing. But theirs is really easy because they're like, these were the best. If I have to see one more 9 in 2018 like Instagram collages, I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm like, some of them are kind of neat, I grant you, but most of them are. I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that figures. Like none of it surprises me.
And see, that's the thing is 2018, I tried to pull back from social media, pull back from posting every single day, pull back from all of that stuff. So I looked at my Instagram and I was like, oh, 2018 is just a few posts, but I think you can get sucked into that. You know what I mean? Like you can just get sucked into how many people liked this, how many people commented. I got to post this, I got to share this instead of enjoying it. And that's what I was doing for a couple of years. And I was like, I'm gonna pull back a little bit. So if you want to look at my 2018 review on Instagram, just look at my main page. It's really just that block. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's been super busy. You know who does great end of the year podcast? Giant Bomb. Have you heard their game of the year stuff?
No, I haven't.
Ooh, they're fantastic. What they do is they'll record 5 episodes, maybe a month prior, or in early December. And what they'll do is they'll do 5 days of deliberate. They'll go through different categories and then they'll do game of the year and then they rank them. And it's always funny to see them to all get in the same room together, East and West Coast, and to break down these games. And it gets nuts.
I'll bet, yeah.
Because some people love Red Dead Redemption, and then some of them were like, no, that's actually my most disappointed game of the year. And they just go at it. It's actually pretty entertaining. Yeah, they do end of the year stuff. Right? Then of course they do the Mario Party, where Dan gets them all together to play Mario Party and all these crazy games. Yeah, that's the kind of content I like at this time of year because everything else is just bland. Real fast, I probably won't talk about too much this week. I don't know if you've seen it, the Bird Box everyone's talking about.
I haven't seen it yet, but you can't get away from it. Even Netflix is like, we're gonna tell you how many people watched it, and you always wonder is that how many people watched it or how many people started it?
Right.
That's always my question. It's did they at least finish it? And that they'll never tell you that.
Yeah. I liked it. I mean, just as a quick review, I enjoyed it. It's nothing like A Quiet Place, it doesn't hold a candle to the wind of The Quiet Place. Quiet Place is, you could tell they were going for that, I guess. I think I don't know behind the scenes, but it almost was like they saw that movie and they're like, oh, yeah, we can't compete with that. So they put it immediately to Netflix. But it's a great movie to watch, just if you have Netflix. It's really good.
So it's got something going for it that Holmes and Watson didn't, in that Netflix actually decided to buy it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that movie bombed, didn't it?
Man, I'll tell you what, I have seen, I don't know how many hundreds of people come out of that over, since Christmas. I have heard one person say they liked it.
Yeah.
One out
Oh
of
wow.
out of I don't know. Yes, what 600 maybe I've seen just come
That's
out of just that one.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
I figured his
it's wild.
audience would like those kind of movies, but I guess it's
I
not even good for that kind of audience.
that's kind of the vibe I've been getting. Like you see people going
Yeah.
in and they're super excited, and I've seen some of those same people coming out and they're not so excited.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have zero plans to watch it ever,
Yeah.
unless I take up like heavy drinking at some point, then I might. But I just don't. I have no plans on watching that at all.
Right. Yeah, no, me either. Me either. But yeah, I saw that. It was pretty good. If you got Netflix, go watch it. I watched, oh, what's that other movie? It was the new Black Mirror episode. I don't have the name of it in front of me.
Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that
Oh,
because it was one of the villains in Resident Evil.
oh, okay.
It was a yellow one that had like no head and a really long arm.
Oh, okay. It sounds like what people would pronounce Benedict Cumberbatch's name wrong.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
Um,
that hasn't been a thing where like they've taken a shot of him like as Doctor Strange, but put
right.
that logo from the poster on it,
I'm sure.
and been like Black Mirror Cumberbatch, just
Exactly.
like
I'm
it's
sure someone has. In fact, it actually, that meme that would actually make a great meme where like where he's like, I've seen a million futures and only one of them is how we make it or whatever. Um, would actually fit really well.
that. Yeah, it actually would.
Yeah. But yeah, it was okay. It was good. I think what I think I like the idea. It's very much like a Telltale game.
I remember
Um,
that company.
yeah, yeah, exactly. They should make a. Oh God, that would be screwed up. They should do a movie about that company where you make decisions and you keep making the wrong decisions. Oh no, that's terrible.
God, if they did Telltale Games, the
The,
movie, the
the movie.
interactive experience. First of all, that by itself, like just putting that as a title down is enough for people. I'm sure the people who made Black Mirror would look at that and just go, "Nah, man, nah, too
Yeah,
much. Like, can't do it." Like,
exactly. And but yeah, so it's a cool idea. It's Black Mirror. It's very dark. It's very like no decision I make is okay. Like everything is terrible. I wish it had better like you know what I mean, like actual good stuff. It
yeah.
just seemed like every decision I make, I was like, this is just a piss poor decision. And it's like obviously that's the one he should have made, but clearly this has made terrible outcome. So it's yeah, it's just ugh. But
Oh well, what are you gonna do?
yeah. But definitely go watch it if you got Netflix, of course. But yeah, I did see Mission Impossible.
Oh, did you finally?
Yeah, over the break. It was pretty good. One of
Yeah,
my favorite movies this year.
it's a really fun movie.
Yeah, yeah,
Which for
yeah.
a franchise that's on like its
I was gonna
I
say they
carry
might
the
have something with this.
yeah, right? Like they're only on their 403rd Tom Cruise movie, I think.
Yeah, I think it's been 6 so far, right?
Um I don't think that's right. 1, 2, and then 3 cuz I don't think 3 had a subtitle yet.
I'm pretty sure Fallout's the 6th one.
I Oh yeah, that's right because I forget one of us made the joke of like why didn't they call it MI6 and set it in Britain?
Yeah.
Like that's yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of my favorites. Probably my favorite. I don't know. I enjoyed it from beginning to end, and I didn't remember at all what happened in the last one.
It's a good like it does catch you up on things that you
Yeah,
probably forgot because
right.
at the time they didn't seem terribly important past that movie. Like
Yeah,
the stuff with his wife that was
right.
important,
Mhm.
for I think just Mission Impossible 3 basically.
I was gonna say all that stuff. I was like, oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was that whole kind
yeah,
of second half of that movie was like, "Oh yeah, this is about her." And then when they bring it up again in this movie, you're like, "Oh yeah, that's right. That was a thing."
yeah, yeah. Exactly. So
But they definitely know that people aren't tremendously paying attention And, you know, fair play to them for acknowledging that. Like, look, we make big action movies. You're probably not gonna remember some of the salient details, which is fine. We'll kind of remind you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It did a really good job. The pacing was fantastic. It's super long and it never felt like it.
Yeah,
If that makes
it's a
sense.
hefty movie. It's
Yes.
over two. It's almost 2.5.
Yes. Yeah. So, but yeah. So, let's see. Did I get? No, I think that's pretty much it. I might have watched some other things, but I've forgotten. But yeah. So that's pretty much what I've been up to. Um, yeah, man. So before we kind of get into the news, let's kind of talk about this year.
And how much it sucked. Like,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
did, man. I mean, just we talked about this a little bit before we came on. The list of people that we lost.
Yeah.
It's yeah, and I feel like we say this more and more every year. Like it blows, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. There were some legends too. It's crazy. Um. Where should we start?
Uh,
Uh.
I mean,
Start at the top.
I kind of tried to do these in chronological order, which I
Okay.
know, like, I just didn't know how else to do it. Like, I didn't want to,
Yeah.
like, I felt crass if I was gonna try to like rank
Right.
people
Right.
or
Right. Right.
anything. Like, I thought that feels icky.
Yeah.
So I did. I just went down the line.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, Bud Lucky was a Pixar animator that worked on everything up until I think Cars or Cars 2, I
Hmm.
think.
Yeah.
I mean he'd worked with them for a long while. I'm pretty sure he was there at the beginning. Um,
Okay.
I think if not immediately at the beginning, then before that he might. Let me look so I make sure I get this right. He may have been at Lucas before it became Pixar. And I think, hang on, give me just a second to pull this up. I almost want to say that I think so, but he worked from, I got it here, yeah, California Art Institute. Oh, I think he was one of those from the, was it the A223? The
Oh.
little
Okay.
the little
Yeah. Yeah.
Easter
Yeah.
egg they put in for that classroom.
Right.
I think he was there.
Oh wow.
No, no, he goes back further than that. He goes back way further than that. Okay. But I mean that's the thing, like he's been doing this for a long time. He worked, God, man, this goes back to the 60s.
Oh
I was
wow.
really off on my history here. Like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it worked on
And
Sesame Street, worked with Henson. Uh That's crazy. Oh, that's neat. He had his own little uh biography extra on the Incredibles DVD as a special
oh,
feature.
okay.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
He came on to Pixar in '90 for Toy Story.
Oh, okay. That makes
So it's
sense.
not quite the beginning, but
Right.
close enough.
Yeah.
And then stayed on through, what was his last one? Where are we here? I think The Incredibles was his last. It doesn't exactly say, but he, like,
Ratatouille.
he retired long before he passed.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, yeah, that's a hell of a career, man.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't realize it went back as far as it did. God, 83. That's impressive.
Oh yeah. And oh yeah, he has a son, Andy Lucky, who's the producer of the animated TV show Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, there you go. See?
Yeah. Uh, That's crazy.
Sticks around.
Yeah. All right. Who do we got next here?
Benjamin Melniker, which is a name that I was not familiar with until I saw this. He
Hmm.
was a producer at Warner Brothers who is one of the people responsible for basically everything DC since Batman.
Oh wow.
And I mean, he was a producer on, I think, every Batman live action film.
Yeah.
I don't know if that includes the 66 one or not, but it's everything I know for sure from the Burton films on through to at least the Nolan uh, trilogy. And then he also spearheaded so much of the like the DC animated universe is something that he's been a part of. I think every single one of those movies.
Mm.
It's crazy.
Okay.
No, he did not. He wasn't involved with the original, with the 66 Batman. It looks like, but
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
Batman Returns. I mean, hell, Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah.
He was DC animated before there was a DC animated.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, looking through this list is nuts.
It's everything. Batman Year
Yeah.
One, Superman vs. The Elite, The Dark Knight Returns,
Yeah.
Batman Unlimited. The Lego DC Comics superhero stuff. Like if it was DC animated, he was a part of it.
Yeah.
That's wild, and it doesn't look like he had anything to do with the live action stuff after The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's all animated from there on out. But yeah, I mean, he was on the Lego stuff. He was actually a producer on the Lego Batman movie.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And well, I don't want to butcher these names, so I want you to go ahead and take the names.
I always do this with the I instead of the E. David Ogden Stiers. He was on MASH for forever. He was I cannot, was it Major? Oh, hang on. It was Major Charles Emerson Winchester III. That's right.
See, I never watched. You said MASH. He was on MASH, right?
Yeah.
I see. He also was on Trek.
Was he on
Star
Trek?
Yeah.
I did not know he was on Trek.
He was in Next Generation.
Okay. I'm not surprised. He's done a little bit of a lot.
Yeah.
I remember him because he was the villain in Pocahontas. He was governor. What was it? Rathcliffe, Rathbone, whatever.
Oh, okay.
That was him, and he was Jumba in Lilo and Stitch. He was a big doctor who created Stitch.
Yeah, gotcha. He was also Beauty and the Beast.
Was he?
Yeah, he's in a ton of things.
Yeah. Oh, he was Cogsworth. That's right. He was Cogsworth. I remember that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man,
yeah.
wild.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, you go from MASH to Disney, I mean, that's pretty something right there.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, he has a ton of credits.
Yeah, of credits. I didn't know he was in Trek.
Yeah.
How about that?
Star Trek. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
But yeah. Sorry, I know there's a lot of air in this, but it's not exactly the happy portion of the show.
Oh yeah.
The one that I saw a lot of people react to, I think out of all of these that I had no clue who he was Isao Takahata. Because I did not know he was one of the co-founders of Studio Ghibli.
Yes. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And that's, and I mean that goes back to I'm trying to remember the first thing that he did, because every time I think of that, all I can think of is oh, help me here, is Miyazaki's first movie, which is actually on Netflix, that I'm totally blanking on the title. It's making me crazy.
Wait, which one?
Miyazaki's first. It was God, I think we talked about this once. It's always the one that I keep thinking of.
It's not Princess.
No, it's not Mononoke. But no,
Spirited Away.
No, it was before that. It'll come to me here in a bit.
My Neighbor Totoro.
No, it's before even that.
What?
Yeah, right. He did one.
What was before that?
There is one that's on Netflix, and I'm gonna have to look it up because it's making me,
Uh,
because I just saw it on some kind of.
Castle in the Sky? That's the
No.
first Studio Ghibli movie.
Yeah, but it was before that. Like his first one was before Ghibli. But it was Castle of Cagliostro.
Oh,
That was it. That was his first one. I keep forgetting that's not
gotcha.
a Ghibli film. That was pre-Ghibli.
Gotcha, gotcha, yeah.
Um, uh, Takahata, the last the last thing he directed was Princess Kaguya.
Okay.
That's the one that I remember. That and My Neighbors the Yamadas.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I'm looking through the list. Oh, wow. Holy crap.
It's
So many.
it's a good sized list.
Oh, he did Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah,
That's a sad one.
yeah, yeah. No kidding.
Yeah.
But it's oh boy, we gotta pick this up. We got too many.
Yeah.
We got too many to get through.
Yes, we do.
I hate this. I hate years like this.
Yeah.
And and
And,
then Chuck McCann. Chuck McCann is one of those guys who was in a little of everything. He was basically a character voice actor for
mm,
like 30 years. He
right.
he was in like everything in the 80s. He was
Right.
in Richie Rich, was in Pac-Man, was in the Jetsons, was in the Smurfs,
DuckTales.
was in DuckTales. He was big on DuckTales. I remember that.
Yeah.
He played Duckworth on
Yeah.
DuckTales. And everything up to like he was in Animaniacs, he was in the Powerpuff Girls, he was in Adventure Time for a few episodes.
Yeah.
So he was a he was kind of the character. We think about character actors as he's like, oh, there's that guy who's like in one episode of everything. Chuck McCann was kind of that for voice acting,
Yeah.
in a way. Uh, and and on the flip side of that are people who are in one thing, and that's pretty much all they're remembered for, and that was R. Lee Ermey,
Oh wow.
because he was the drill sergeant in Full Metal
Yeah.
Jacket, and that was
That's right.
that was more or less his only thing. But if you're gonna be remembered for one thing, that's a hell of a one thing to be remembered for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remakes.
Yeah. But
Seven,
does anybody really remember
Toy
that though?
Story. Yeah. No, people do.
The remakes, really, I get from Toy
Sure.
Story, but again, he's the army guy.
He played a big part in even the sequel. Like he played an even bigger part, right? Wasn't he like a head of the family or something?
Uh, yeah, I guess. That's what I'm saying though. I
I
don't
mean,
remember
you're right. Everyone remembers him from.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not
Uh,
saying that was literally the only thing he ever did in his career. I'm just saying like
yeah.
you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who would remember, the drill sergeant, and then make the connection with the army guys. I totally forgot that for a second until you said that. I
Oh.
was like, oh yeah, that was him.
Yeah, he had some TV shows too on the History Channel. He had Mail Call.
Okay.
Did you ever see that?
No.
He basically just played the same character he does, and he would I think he would just I think people would write into him questions about military stuff, and he would talk about the history and whatnot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I could totally see why. I mean,
Yeah.
he's he commanded a presence.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
but and a bit of a legend in that right, where just it's an iconic performance, and for
Yeah.
somebody who really wasn't acting, really,
Yeah.
he was just channeling that persona,
Yeah.
which wasn't like, okay, I have to research how this works. He's like, no, I've done this before, I'm just gonna do this here, and
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
So it's fun to go back and watch. It's a little tough to go back and watch some bits of it, but that's
Yeah.
that's what you want. That's what you got. We lost Bruno Sammartino this year, one of the legends of wrestling, longest WWF back in the day title holder, was and when he lost that title to, I want to say, Volkov. It's either Nikolai Volkov or the Iron Sheik. Might have been Sheik. It was no. This was further back than that, I think. Oh man, this stretches my history too far, but it was wild back then, because this was decades and decades ago, and it was in Madison Square Garden, and it was insane. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Volkov. God, what am I talking about? Koloff. That's Volkov was the dude from Chuck, I think. But regardless, his that's a legacy and a half, without question.
Yeah.
And to bop on from that, I had forgotten we lost Vern Troyer. That's how long 2018 has been.
Oh wow.
I was sad all over again when I read this, because I was like, oh my god, yeah, that did happen this year.
That's right.
And that's and again, most well known for one thing, and that was Mini-Me.
Right.
And that was he built from that and had a career, but that was the thing, and that was something that I think that was a role in a performance could only happen at that time.
Yeah.
Like, that's another thing of, like, you can't do that now. There's no way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
And, Stephen Hawking, God, this was another one where I was like, God, that was this year. How the hell long has 2018 been?
Yeah. Too long. It's been too long.
Hawking's legacy speaks for itself,
Yeah.
And Total Biscuit was this year. That was more your area to talk about. You were more into streaming than I was.
Yeah, man, it was hard to see the last few years him just slowly, talk. He would talk about it, but you could tell he was getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and then every once in a while it was it's in remission, it's going back, we think it's good, and then unfortunately it's not. And then it was just, you could tell he was pulling back from recording stuff, being on camera. And then when I saw that tweet go out, I was, oh man, that sucked, because that his podcast with Jesse and them and Dex, they like most podcasts, they get you through a lot of shit. And throughout the years, that was my podcast I listened to for like PC stuff, where he was focused mostly on PC stuff. But after a while, you kind of stick around for the personalities and the people, and and it just, seeing that just really sucked. So that was, man, that was terrible. I know his wife is going through cancer treatments as well, so it's just kind of a terrible situation. She kind of carried on his podcast, so it's just not as frequent. So, but yeah, man, it's crazy to think all of these people were this year. Every time I'm going through the list, it's like, it's just too many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also lost Anthony Bourdain this year. That's one that kind of hit me at first, and then like made me go back and see really kind of more what he was about. Like, I knew him as a personality and as a chef, but I didn't really know all that much about him, or even really about his worldview, other than like, hey, he travels and eats a lot of food and he's seen the world. Like, that was really pretty much all I knew. And then going back and watching stuff like Parts Unknown and everything, and just saying, oh, he's got a point of view, he's got something he's trying to say, and it's and again, to see, and especially because it was a suicide, like you look at that and you just think, how does somebody who's seen so much and tried to make so much good in the world. Like how did they come to that point? And
Yeah.
it's just it's rough, and it's tough. It really is.
Yeah.
Um, but and then kudos to Netflix and them for working out a deal of of keeping that show on the service, because it was set to expire, and they were like, no, we got this. Like,
Yeah.
this needs to be shown. People need to continue to see this.
Right.
So big ups to them for that.
Oh yeah.
Uh, we lost. This was a bad year to be a wrestler. It
Yeah.
really was, because I mean we lost Big Van Vader, and
Yeah.
I mean God, the his you have to kind of put aside his WWF years, because they
Yeah.
were not kind to him at all.
Right.
But everywhere else, man, he was just a monster.
He
It
was.
was crazy, and he was a force. God, in Japan, he was an absolute beast.
Yeah.
And it's his is a wrestler's legacy.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not quite so much for the fans. Um, it's a little bit like Dynamite Kid, who unfortunately we'll talk about in a second, in that the popularity may not have been there from a fan side of things on the level of some others, but in and amongst that community of wrestlers, there was massive respect, and
Yeah.
he was a huge influence, especially to some of the bigger guys. Of like,
Yeah.
here's what you can do. You don't just have to be slow and tough and do this. I mean, this was a huge dude to do a moonsault. Like,
Right.
it was insane,
Yeah.
and he did it. And
Yep.
that was at a time where moonsaults in general were not a big thing. So for a guy his size to get up there and do that, holy hell! Um,
Right.
but it did. It inspired a just a ton of performers,
Hmm.
and I mean, it sucks. It always sucks. Here, you grab the next one, man. This is more down your aisle.
Oh yeah. So XXX Tintancion. I butchering names. I'm so sorry. But yeah, man. He was one of the new rappers. A lot of people put him in categories as like the SoundCloud rappers or whatnot. But he was one of the good ones. He was one of the well. He definitely had um, he was troubled. Like most I guess young hip hop rappers are these days. But man, it was seeing him make a turn. You could tell he was doing a lot for charities and whatnot. The last year of his life, he was trying to kind of get the bad image out, and do more positive things, and be there for his community and whatnot. And his music was so different because it was hip hop, but it was also like very emo. I guess like he was one of the few people who talked about depression and anxiety and all of that stuff, and he was not ashamed of it, which is rare because most hip hop is them trying to I'm the best, I'm the all that stuff, and it was totally different, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of young people related to that when they saw that, and they heard that, and he's got songs with Lil Wayne and Kanye and all these big artists and and whatnot. And it was sad to see him murdered uh, at such a young age. And Miami, no one deserves that, obviously.
yeah,
And it sucks. You know, uh, Nothing like that should happen. Um, and you know, there's a lot of these. There's a lot of young rappers that died this year for overdosing and stuff like that, and it's just it's sad to see the young kids get taken out so early. Um, and this wasn't drugs for him. He got gunned down. So, man, it sucks. And the thing was I wasn't really I get a lot of flack for liking a lot of the younger artists. Um, but it's I don't know how to explain it. It's I totally I will listen to anything and I'll give anything a chance if that makes sense. And there's a lot of garbage out there right now. But his was one of the few where I was like, "Oh, that's pretty dope. Like that's kind of cool. It's super sad but it makes you feel something." And then it must have been a month later after I first heard his stuff. I was like, "Oh shit, he just got killed." It was sad. So, but yeah, man, it sucks. I hope you know, I hope the younger artists learn from that. You got to have bodyguards. You can't just go into places like that. It can't be. I don't know. I think part of the problem was he tried to stay in his like where he grew up. And he made it. He made it out of that place. Can't stay in that place.
Yeah.
They'll eat you alive. It sucks. But yeah, so that was really hard. It sucked when I saw it because I was like, oh, I'm just starting to get in this guy, and fuck, yeah.
Yeah. We also Harlan Ellison passed this year.
Oh wow.
Harlan, of course, wrote short stories. He wrote, a lot of sci-fi and a lot of some groundbreaking stuff. He wrote. There's always the episode of Star Trek that they talk about that the title of which is escaping me. That
Yeah.
was either like Emmy winning or Emmy nominated. Like it was just wild. It was I can't remember.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. And he also
City on the Edge of Forever. Yeah, that's the one everyone always talks about.
Yeah, it's the one.
Yeah.
So it's that was it always sucks to lose a creative mind, and especially one with a legacy like that.
Right.
You wish they'd hang around forever.
Right. Exactly.
Um,
Yeah, you don't get too many Cities on the Edge of Forever episodes
No.
for any show.
No, you don't. You're lucky if you get one.
Right.
And for some of the great things that Trek did, and some of the not just great for the time episodes, but great all time episodes. There aren't many that match up to that, not by a long shot.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
In the same vein, Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
That was another one that sucked. Like that hurt. That one really hurt. Because that was, we've talked about in the past, one of the 3 or 5, depending on your point of view, principles of Marvel when it really started to kick off.
Yeah.
And somebody who created or had a hand in creating, damn near everything we know anymore. And it's just wild, and it really is. And again, going back to wrestlers, Brian Christopher, who was Jerry the King Lawler's son.
Oh wow! Oh, that's right. See,
yeah, it's how long has this year been? Like it's nuts.
Yeah.
There's just no. It doesn't seem like it. There were times where it just never seemed like it was going to end.
Yeah.
Because in the same I think in the same day or 2 days, we lost Brian Christopher, we lost Nikolai Volkov, and we lost Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Right.
Like it was just an awful day for the wrestling community. It was.
Oh yeah.
And it's just. And it was just crazy that it was all at once. And, I mean, three talents. I mean, Brian Christopher, people may not recognize the name. He was Grandmaster Sexay from Too Cool. And that'll bring up the image, the goggles and everything. Like I always felt like he was the overlooked member of the team.
Right.
Because Scotty had the worm and Rikishi was Rikishi. Right. And it just kind of left him a little out in the cold.
Yeah.
But he kept at it and he kept working at it. But in the end, it, it sucks, And then Volkov and
see Volkov, funny little fact. It doesn't have anything to do with him, but that was my dad. That's what he would. His nickname for me would be Nikolai Volkov. Volkov, he would say. That's my middle name. So when I heard that, I was like, oh man, because that was my one attachment to him, I guess, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Is I always knew that wrestler because I was like, oh, my dad always used to call me that because my dad used to watch wrestling back in the day.
Yeah.
And Nikolai Volkov, he would always say that just to, I don't know. And I'm like, who is that? He's like, it's a wrestler. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I was sad when I heard that.
Yeah. We also lost Unsho Ishizuka, excuse me, who was a voice actor in everything. He was a Japanese voice actor in everything. He was Jet in Cowboy Bebop. He was Professor Oak in
That's
Pokemon.
right.
He even, and I mean his resume is just ridiculous. Like it would take me an hour just to read through everything.
Right.
But I also remember he did a lot, like when, you know how sometimes actors will be dubbed in, it'll be an English movie, but they have to be dubbed in some other language. He did, I want to say he overdubbed, I think it was Liam Neeson and Lawrence Fishburne, interestingly enough.
Wow.
I know. I thought that was just, that to me, I was like, well, that's a pairing.
I can see Liam with the voice, but Lawrence Fishburne, I guess, kind of a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where it would make sense.
Yeah.
But like the Liam Neeson one, I totally get because I can picture that. But but I'm a little with you. I'm like Lawrence Fishburne. Okay, that's an interesting call there.
Right.
And we also lost Aretha Franklin this year, which is, I mean, that's a career which completely speaks for itself. The same can be said for Burt Reynolds. In a way, I mean, I hadn't watched Smokey and the Bandit in years. Until I had seen that he passed, and I was like, God, I need to go back and watch that again. And I forgot how much fun like that and Cannonball Run, and I mean, they are just fun movies. They were made for no other reason, and there's a beautiful purity to that. Yeah. They're not extraordinary movies by any stretch, but they don't try to be. Right. And it reminds me that it reminds me to ease off of criticizing some movies where you can tell their point is just, we just made this to be fun.
Right.
Oh, and that's, But, Mac Miller, another one I think that you alluded to earlier, if you want to, again, you know more about this than I do.
Yeah, there were a few this year. We talked about X. Little Peep was another one. He wasn't that well known. And he died of an overdose. As well. Little Peep. I actually didn't hear any of his music until I heard he passed away, and it was kind of the same thing with X. His stuff was, if you get a chance, go listen to some of his songs on YouTube. It's one of those artists that I would have never like. It's hard to when someone would describe his music, I'm like, that wouldn't be for me. But it was odd because it reminded me of like, back when we were in high school, like emo music.
Yeah.
Just straight up a mix of hip hop and emo.
Nice.
And I thought it was so different, just like X. It was these two guys, and it sucked. This was the year they passed away, and this was the year they were both blowing up. So they actually have a song together. X took, when Lil Peep passed away, X took one of his songs, and they were doing, and he was going to release it, and he did. Eventually, they both passed away, and the song was released, but it was a song that he put out with him. And yeah, it's just very different. It's very different. It's like hip hop mixed with like emo music. And then of course Mac Miller. Of a drug overdose. What do they call it? Where it's like accidental suicide, I guess.
It's it's accidental overdose. It's just a accidental overdose, I think.
Accidental overdose, yeah. So Man, it's sad. If you're out there and you need help, get help. Um, don't self-medicate and don't. It's just not worth it. And Mac Miller was another artist. He's been around for a little bit. I never really got into his music too much. But he's a great rapper. Um, and obviously struggling with a lot of stuff, a lot of demons. And yeah, man, it's crazy. It sucks that it takes someone passing to see how many people just love them, you
Yeah.
know, and they don't feel that when they're alive at all. They get to the point where I don't think they feel anything, um, except being hurt, you know. So it's man, I don't know. I really don't know what to say with situations like this. It's just get help. If you're going through something, get help. Reach out, talk to somebody. Don't you know. But anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Al Matthews is a name that most people may not, it may not jump out at you immediately.
I didn't know the name until I saw the face, and I was like, "Oh yeah, of course I know him."
Yeah, he
Yeah,
really only did one thing. He had a handful of small roles, and then he was
yeah,
a pwn in Aliens,
right, right.
and that was pretty much
I was
it.
like, it's a guy with a cigar. That's right,
Yeah,
that's right, that's right.
it's
Yeah.
him, and I think he did the voice. He also voiced. He did the same voice in Colonial Marines
Okay.
when they had his character back. They did that.
Oh, that's cool.
He was back. And they based, and this one doesn't surprise me. Sergeant Johnson from some of the Halo games.
Oh,
He's
gotcha. Yeah, yeah,
very
makes
heavily
sense.
inspired by Apone,
Mhm.
which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And that's another thing of like he had one big role, and then didn't really after that, and was just kind of I guess just kind of went, okay, well, I guess this isn't for me then. I don't know,
Mhm. Yeah.
but it's a role that we all know.
Oh yeah.
As soon as you say that, everybody's there. He is just walking the line of everybody waking up in cryo. Like
Mhm.
that's
Oh
it's one that everybody recognizes.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Scott Wilson was another one. He, most recently, of course, was Herschel in The Walking Dead.
Yes.
The first time I saw him, he was Sam on CSI. He
Okay.
he was I can't remember the character name, but it was Marg Hellenberger's character, her father, who owned one of the casinos or something in Vegas. So he always just kind of popped up, and it was never a great thing to see him around.
Oh
But
yeah.
I remember him from that. I think that was the first time like I saw him that I actually remembered him. And then he was in interestingly he was in Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Okay.
He was in that as well, and that was one that I didn't put together until later. I was like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. I knew that. I
Wait, I
didn't.
don't think I've seen that movie.
Oh man, it's such a good. It tries to do it's a different deconstruction of the slasher genre than Scream was.
Okay.
It basically just kind of it acts like slasher movies are canon
Okay.
to this world. And so it's a documentary about Leslie Vernon, who's going to be the next, Jason or Michael or one of these guys.
Gotcha.
It's really kind of fascinating, and it's actually a good movie, and I'm bummed there hasn't been a sequel.
Oh
Um,
wow. Yeah.
it's really good. Yeah, that's definitely one you should check out for
Yeah.
sure. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, man.
it's
Yeah.
definitely
Him.
one to look into because it's really good.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think it was one of those like I saw him as Herschel and I was like, oh wow, great actor. And then I realized, oh, he's been in all these movies.
he's been in a ton of stuff. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
forgotten, and then when I saw the CSI thing, I was like, oh yeah, I could absolutely picture him because he was a lot younger back then.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, this was 15 years ago, so of
Mhm.
course he's
Yeah.
gonna look younger. But I was like, oh yeah, 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 I remember that. And
Yeah.
he played that well. He had the gravitas of a Vegas
Mhm.
casino owner. I
Yeah.
remember how well he pulled that off.
Oh yeah,
Um,
man, it's been that long for CSI, hasn't it?
it really has. It's been,
Wow.
and this was early CSI.
Yeah.
Because it started in '01, I think. '01
Mhm.
or '02.
Yeah.
So it's been a long
Oh
time.
yeah, he was. I'm looking at it now. He definitely did look much younger.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yep.
But
Oh yeah. Um.
also, Paul Allen from Microsoft.
Yeah.
That was, that's another, creative on a different level.
Yeah.
On the other side of things, not so much, the kind of creative we think of, but tech and
Hmm.
invention kind of creative.
Yeah.
You know, to to have been there at the beginning of Microsoft is,
Yeah.
you know,
That'd have been crazy.
that's something. That's something.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
and then, I say I don't want to rank these, but I think the biggest one for all of us is here, Stan Lee.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't
His,
know what else can be said. I love. Did you read? They put the Into the Spider-Verse script online. Have you read it yet?
I haven't read the script. I did see the movie though.
It's yeah. I love in the script though because it's great. The scene, mild spoiler alert when Miles goes into the costume shop
Right. Right. Right.
and you see
I love
that's
that.
yeah. They describe the clerk in the comic. It's like it gives a direction of like Miles approaches the counter with a Spider-Man costume, and hands it to the clerk, who looks suspiciously like dot dot dot. And
Yeah.
then like the character written over the line of dialogue, it just says I think it just says clerk.
Oh,
But
okay.
then like after Miles says, well, what if it doesn't fit? He goes, oh, it always fits eventually.
Right.
And then the next line is Stan looks over at the sign.
Yeah.
And it's a fun little reveal like that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's it's gonna suck seeing his last cameo in whichever movie it is we see it in.
But he's no. They've already announced he's gonna be in all of them.
Yeah.
He apparently they shot
I you know
a ton of stuff.
I have heard that so many times and I will never believe it simply because I
I
just
mean, even Kevin Smith said it.
it,
Talked to Stan about that. Stan's
I
told him that it's not ending.
how yeah, but how much of that was tongue in cheek,
I agree with you. I completely understand if they stop it, but I don't see why not. Especially if they do it like in you
well,
know, photos and like
I see
old
that I
videos.
right, like that I get. That
Yeah,
I can understand
they
using
they
that.
could they could pan away with the shot of him and the jury for the when what is it, the Hulk's on trial
Yeah.
and it's Matt Murdock. They don't have to show the Hulk stuff. They just it could be on a TV somewhere in the scene and you see him on the jury, like little things like that.
That
They
yeah, like that I'm good with. I don't, when people, cuz I've heard that where they're like, "Oh, they filmed all these cameos already." I'm like, they can't film something for a movie that's not going to be written for another 10 years. Like
That's
that's
true,
not
but
going to
I
work.
think they
But you're like the way you're talking about it, I see perfectly.
yes.
Yes,
I see them
absolutely.
doing that. I totally see them putting him as like graffiti on walls and posters and wanted signs or missing signs or stuff like that
Yeah.
just to show his face in the movie. I don't think that will stop.
No,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think eventually they can't show him anymore.
yeah.
They have a ton of recordings, so who knows,
Oh yeah.
um
He there will be
the
a
audio and
Stanley.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there will be a Stanley cameo in every Marvel movie until the end of time.
Yeah.
It's just going to be interesting to see how they do it, and I wonder if that's going to be kind of a challenge now
Yeah.
of
Oh
like
yeah.
how they're going to put down who can have the most creative cameo now.
Yes. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
uh,
And he loved those, man. That was one of his favorite things. Whenever I saw an interview with him, he would talk about how, like, even with the DC stuff, he's like, you know what? I told them these movies would probably do a lot better if you just got me as a cameo. And
could you
he's a cameo in the Titans, the Titans Go or whatever.
that doesn't surprise me. Like that
He's in.
that one I could totally understand. I can
Yeah.
absolutely because it was that was a movie I didn't see, but it had the kind of ridiculous meta-ness
Oh, you gotta see that.
to
It's very meta. It's very funny.
yeah.
It's one of those like it's a really great animated movie. And it's fun. It's so much fun. It's such a striking contrast from the TV show.
Well,
I
yeah.
watched the Titan. No, that's the other thing I saw. The Titan show. I guess I could talk about that in a little bit. I liked the ending of it, like the very last like after credits scene. It was like, oh, this now you have my attention.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, Stan Lee, man. Yeah, seeing that in Spider-Verse, which I don't know why I didn't talk about before. I guess it's been an episode since I've seen that. That's a perfect movie. So I agree with you.
Yeah,
that
no
is,
arguments here.
to me, that's probably my favorite Spider-Man movie. I think if you held a gun to my head, I might say Homecoming, but so far I think that was it. Like that is perfect. It was the perfect Miles Morales movie. I like that it was still his movie even after all these crazy characters.
Yeah.
And the Stanley stuff was perfect.
Yeah.
It was just a perfect film, and so yeah, to see that was really cool. That was really sweet. I hope we get little things like that, even if he can't talk or anything. He's just in a scene, and people just go, "Oh yeah, look who it is." But yeah, man, it's gonna suck to see him go. It's gonna suck to see the Oscars when they show his face.
Yeah, God, the ovation's gonna be huge though.
It is. Oh yeah, and he was still going, man. Like he just stopped signing when he passed away. Like he would sign for anybody. Uh, and man, it's oof, especially him and Ditko in the same year. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I recommend if anyone, if you're a big Kevin Smith fan, go listen to his podcast about Stan Lee, and he talks about him a lot. And he had an actual relationship with him, and as a friend, for however many years he's known him since he put him in a movie.
Yeah.
He was shocked that he remembered his name. So yeah, he posted a thing on Instagram the other day of the last time he saw him was at his birthday. So anyway. Yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest for us. Like you said, don't really rank them, but that definitely had a huge impact when I saw that.
Uh, and William Goldman not too long after.
Yeah.
I mean, the Princess Bride is a movie that will stand forever.
Oh yeah.
There's no
Classic.
question. Yeah.
Yep.
And will be quoted and misquoted and everything until the end of humanity. Like that's I firmly believe that there are a handful of things that will survive the next however long it is we're here, but there will be people at the end of everything who somebody will look at one of them at some point and go, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya." And they'll crack up, and then the galaxy will explode or whatever the hell is going to happen at that point.
Yeah.
But it's there'll be somebody who's going to look at like all the impending crises in the 40th century or whatever, and they're going to rattle them off to somebody, and he's going to look back and go, "Inconceivable," and somebody will chuckle. That's it's etched. Like there's no getting away from it. Ever. It is forever.
Yeah.
And in a way, you can say that about some of the stuff that came about because of what Steven Hillenburg created. I mean, he created SpongeBob, and like it or not, it's been around for 20 years for a reason.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And to think that show is still going and still doing new things. It's not been around 20 years in reruns. It's been around for 20 new seasons. Like that's nuts.
Oh yeah.
That's nuts. That's a show that is a generational show. We grew up watching that as kids, and now our kids are growing up watching that.
Oh yeah.
It's nuts to think of something that has that kind of impact. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's when you told me it was still on, I was shocked.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Still going. Still making new stuff.
Yeah.
And one more wrestler this year, again, like I said earlier, Dynamite Kid. He was so far ahead of his time, it was insane.
Yeah.
His was a more fast-paced aerial style that nobody was doing. Like the stuff he did was completely revolutionary. If he came out now, it would fit with a lot of the landscape. That's how far ahead of his time he was, and he was doing this 20, 30 years ago. Like it's crazy. And he is somebody that so many wrestlers cite as an inspiration.
Right.
Like his is a legacy that lives on in, pick somebody. Like they anybody who's medium build or smaller, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, any of the cruiserweights.
I was about to say someone terrible that we can't mention on the show.
Yeah.
I'm glad I stopped myself.
Yeah. But I mean, again, inspired by that kind of athleticism and that kind of work rate, that was kind of the start of that. And just crazy. And then, Penny Marshall, who, as an actor, as a producer in particular, and an occasional director, directed Awakenings and Big, also A League of Their Own, which was one that I had forgotten that she directed. I remembered she was an executive producer on it, but she was also a director. The Marshalls as a family were so involved with that kind of niche of movies for a long time, movies and TV in particular, for so long. Like anybody who came up during that time has a story of one of that family, at least, if not more than one of them. Tom Hanks, Robin Williams, are there two of I think the most frequent people who collaborated with that family, who talk about it all the time. I mean, Robin talked about it a lot, and Tom would talk about it and start laughing every time, and he would go, "Here's what they said. Here's what this," but could never do it with a straight face. That cracked me up. Could talk about almost anybody else he's worked with ever, and because Tom is just that kind of guy who would be very professional, very straight faced, and be and throw in jokes when he needed to, but anytime I would see him talk about any of the Marshalls that he worked with, he could never keep a straight face. And that's wild. Like, that by itself is just crazy. But
that's great.
But so that's, knock on wood, night's not over yet. That's that's the extensive list of what was just a crap year.
Yeah.
I hated this year a lot. It was a tough year.
Yeah. Definitely was.
But, to move on, I mean, the box office, and God, I'm going to have to change this again. I've already had to change it once. I had to change it once yesterday. I'm going to have to change it again.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put up here, and these are global grosses of our top 10, and this list is inaccurate because I have Aquaman's numbers as of 2 days ago, which are already way off.
Oh, wow.
That's what's nuts. Because this list originally had Fantastic Beasts on it, and then it got bumped because of how well Aquaman did.
Yeah.
But I mean, Infinity War, $2 billion, sorry, I'm doing my Dr. Evil there for a second. $2 million. $2 billion and change. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's insane. Black Panther, $1.3 billion. Also crazy. Because Jurassic World is kind of nipping at its heels. Black Panther, $1,346,000,000, almost 47.
What's crazy is Black Panther did better than Avengers in the States.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It did. Which I think is awesome. I think that's the kind of message that needed to be sent and heard.
Oh yeah.
So
it was a good movie. I mean, word of mouth definitely helped that.
Yeah, big time, because people came out and they were like, first of all, not only is it pretty much a predominantly, it's an almost all black cast,
right?
Except for the Tolkien white guys that are in it, which is my favorite joke about that movie.
Yeah,
I love that.
Well, it's and he's such if you would have said however many years ago when they did Iron Man was pretty obscure compared to Batman and Spider-Man and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And Black Panther to me is even more obscure. And to see that, just for them to take that character and that world and everything about that, and make just such a great film.
Yeah.
Film people get behind. It's phenomenal. The stuff they're doing at Disney with these Marvel movies is insane.
Yeah. It's absolutely bonkers.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think that the success of Guardians pushed them to do things like Ant-Man and Doctor Strange
Yeah.
and Black Panther.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and subsequently Captain Marvel, coming in
Well,
4 months.
well, at the end, in next year we're gonna get the end of these films. In their eyes, kind of the closing of this chapter,
At the
this
end of
giant this book, I guess.
the season 1 of Marvel movies,
Right, exactly.
God,
And
it's
I
insane.
think moving forward, Black Panther is going to be a huge part of what they do. It's I think no matter what, I think they're going to have trouble replacing Robert Downey Jr. Because he does sell. He does get people in those seats.
Oh,
But
steals every
steals it.
scene when he's turned on.
Yes.
When he comes in and flips that switch, you can't look away.
Right. But I
It's
think with Black Panther and stuff like this, it can be done.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And then they're showing that. So, yeah, man. I like I said, I think it'd be great if like Siri, for example, takes over Iron Man.
Shuri.
Sure. Yeah, I'm terrible with names,
That's
as we all have noticed.
as everybody's phone now kicks on
Yes.
because of what you said. They're like,
Did I
damn
say
it, not that one.
Siri? Oh my god, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, it's crazy to see these at the top.
That's and here's we're gonna get down through these, and then I'm gonna throw something interesting at you.
Okay.
Because again, number 3, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, a billion 3,
Yeah.
Incredibles 2, 1 and almost a quarter billion.
Yeah.
Venom, number 5, worldwide this year,
Wow.
854 million.
It's crazy.
Mission Impossible, 791. Deadpool 2, 741. Bohemian Rhapsody, just shy of 667 million. And like I said, the Aquaman total is wrong, because it's sitting at, what I have here is 666 and some change. I think it's already up to almost 750, if I remember right. It's gonna wind up in almost the top 5.
Oh wow.
It's gonna be close. It won't edge out Venom this year. So if we're gonna count movies that are just making money in the fiscal year 2018,
Yeah.
it's gonna wind up a little short. But still, this movie just came out a week,
Right.
2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and it's already the 9th highest gross, seventh or 8th highest grossing film of 2018 in two and a half weeks, something like that.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. That's insane.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And Ant-Man and the Wasp at 622.
Mm-hmm.
Now, take a look at these movies. Imagine the only thing about this that has changed is that instead of this being the 2018 box office, imagine if this said 2019.
Yeah.
Okay? This is 2019 will be the year that Disney officially formally acquires Fox. In fact, that's going to happen in like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine, if you will, that has happened. Nothing else has changed except this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, Avengers, Marvel, owned by Disney. Black Panther, Marvel, owned by Disney. Incredibles 2, Pixar, owned by Disney. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Marvel, owned by Disney. Bohemian Rhapsody, Fox, owned by Disney. Deadpool 2, Fox, owned by Disney. Venom, Sony partnership with Marvel, owned by Disney. They got a piece of that.
Right.
7 of 10 of the top 10 grossing films. It's an insane world that we're going to be living in next year. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be absolutely crazy. And I mean, to be fair, Warner Brothers, for only having one film in the top 10, had a bunch of films that did really well this year.
Yeah.
Let's not overlook something like The Meg, for instance, which did make a decent chunk of money.
Mm-hmm.
I think Crazy Rich Asians was also Warner Brothers.
Oh, okay.
And made, that made a boatload of money. Did you ever see? I'm sorry, that was horrible. I
No.
didn't mean that. Uh, that's, I just realized, like, as soon as I said that, I was like, wow, that was just bad phrasing. Uh, but it made just, did you,
No, I haven't seen it. No.
it's really funny.
Hmm.
It's genuinely
I want
funny.
to see it.
It's a good movie. It really is.
Yeah.
It was one that I was like, all right, I'm going to watch this. I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm going to watch it anyway, just because I didn't think it had nothing to do with the makeup of the cast or anything. I just kind of thought this doesn't seem like a movie I'm going to like.
Right.
And I was so wrong. It was really, really good. And again, representation. Same thing with Black Panther. Look what happens when you have a film made up of mostly not white people. It still makes money. Who knew? Yeah, this was it was distributed by Warner Brothers, and made $238 domestic, but it made, I think, double that globally or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, that's I'll so nobody is going to, the order of things is not going to collapse next year.
Right.
But, it's going to be, oh God, I'm sorry, Aladdin comes out next year. It's going to be a whole new world. I was going to say it, and then I was like, oh no, that movie comes out. No, I'm still going to say it. Because, I mean, think about that. Aladdin, Dumbo, and The Lion King are all next year. So is Toy Story 4. So is Endgame. Endgame is going to make all the money. Endgame, I will tell you right now, is going to make $2.5 billion worldwide.
Yeah.
But it still won't dethrone Avatar. It won't.
Yeah.
It's not going to top it. It would have to make 3, almost, to do that, and it's not going to. And the reason is because of competition. It's coming out in the summer where it's going to have a month to make all of its money. It took Avatar 4 months to fall out of the top 10.
Wow.
It was in the top 10 for 16 weeks. It was at number 1 for, I think, 5 or 6. Not The Last Jedi had that kind of run. The Force Awakens didn't have that kind of run. Jumanji, for as much as it stayed in the top 10 and stayed in theaters for, honest to God, 6 months, because I counted every week we had it.
Yeah.
Didn't have that kind of run. Avatar had a week where it made, what was it, like 21 million one weekend, and then the next weekend it went back up to 23. Yeah. That's what's nuts. It was like its 8th and 9th weekend, or 9th and 10th, or something like that, where it actually went up.
Wow.
That's what was crazy about Avatar. Like, it just stuck around. And even the stuff that came out, because, this was back when the first How to Train Your Dragon came out, and all that kind of stuff. It still just wasn't enough to knock Avatar down that far. It kept its market share. From its first weekend to second weekend, I think, it dropped like 2%. That's what's crazy. You don't see that in wide release films. Yeah. The first to second weekend is a 30-point drop at least.
Yeah.
It dropped like 2%. It was like 1 point something. It
just kept going.
It did, and it never stopped. It ran for 16 weeks before it was out of the top 10. And then I think it was another week or two before it finally had a weekend where it made under 1 million.
Oh wow!
Like, it just kept making money, and that was just domestic.
Yeah.
The global is what really put it over the top. But that's why, like, nothing will ever have that kind of run again, because there are too many big movies that come out all the time. There's just not enough. There's not enough money to consolidate on one film.
Yeah.
It'll never happen again. It'll come close with Endgame. That's going to be the closest we'll get for probably a good decade. But even then, it's not going to beat it.
Yeah.
It won't. There aren't enough screens and enough seats and enough time. But it's going to try. And it's going to be an interesting year. It's going to be a very interesting year. We had to... and I just have down here, like, the highlights of this past year, because we spent so much time on the lowlights. I wanted to talk about some of the happy stuff. like Disney buying Fox, which again I guess is kind of negative depending on your point of view.
Yeah.
But yeah, that deal will go into effect. Given how long it takes me to cut some of these, sometimes that deal may already now be in effect. I still can't get over that Disney paid $71 billion.
Oh wow.
That's crazy. That's a figure that just astounds me. I can't imagine that much money. I can't. I have no idea what that looks like. Not even in the slightest.
It's insane.
Like, I can picture 100, and I can picture, like 10,000, because I've seen those stacks before.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine how many of those... Like, I can do the math on how many of those would make up $1 billion, but I don't want to do that right now because I'm tired. But then how many of those make 10 billion and then make 70 billion? I can't picture that much money. I can't.
I can't either.
But Disney said, yeah, we'll buy Fox for $71 billion.
It's insane.
And what they get in that, because there is a definitive final list now. They get obviously 20th Century Fox Films. They get the Film Corporation. They get the Fox Television Group, the Fox Networks Group, Blue Sky Studios, the Endemol Shine Group.
So they do get the Fox. They get the Simpsons.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's included in all that stuff.
Okay.
They get the Endemol Shine Group, which is the company that works a lot with One Potato, Two Potato, with Gordon Ramsay and all his stuff, Master Chef, Hell's Kitchen, all that
Hell's
stuff.
Kitchen and all that.
Yeah, Endemol Shine does a lot of that stuff, and of course they also get Fox's 30% of Hulu.
Okay. Yeah, it was a lot of Hulu.
Yeah. What's left over.
What do you think you're gonna do with that?
I don't know. That's I would wonder if I'm anybody else, if I'm the other two, because who else has a share in it? NBC has the third share, and then I think CBS has the other 10% or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's something like that. Somebody else has 30 and somebody else has 10. If I'm them, I may just sell out. If I'm CBS, I'm definitely selling out because I have my own app.
Yeah.
I'm definitely putting my stake up for sale. If I'm NBC, I don't know. As long as nothing changes, the only thing that's changing so far is that Hulu is going to be available internationally.
Yeah.
Which I think is odd that wasn't a thing before. But I guess...
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, it's not.
Yeah.
What?
But, broadcasting rights and this and that, and especially with 4 companies having a stake in it, it does make some sense. But,
yeah.
And the company that's left over, which was going to be called New Fox, but is apparently just going to be called Fox, they get basically the structure of it. They get the broadcasting company and the television stations group because Disney already has ABC and they legally can't own the Fox network.
Yeah.
So that they don't get. They can control... Well, I don't say they can control. They own the creative stuff. They own the stuff that can go on the network, but they can't control the actual network.
Okay.
That's where you get into monopoly territory.
Yeah.
They can say, "We're making this. Would you like to put it on your channel?" And Fox Broadcasting can say yes or no.
Okay.
That's why, if Disney couldn't own the network because they could say, well, we could have this on ABC or we could have this on Fox. And because those two and CBS were the original 3, and this goes back to, public broadcasting days and all kinds of stuff, they can't own more than one of those base networks.
Okay, gotcha.
So they don't get that. The new company will also keep Fox News and Fox Sports. That's why they made such a big play for UFC stuff, and then lost to ESPN, which I thought was unfortunate and a little poetic. The Fox company will also still own the real estate for 20th Century Fox that they will lease to Disney. And I think that may be another monopoly issue.
Okay.
That they can't actually own... They can't own the real estate of the studio.
Okay. That makes sense.
I think that was what I had seen. So that's going to be what happens. Has by now probably already happened.
Yeah.
But again, brave new world. Brave new world we're going to be living in.
Oh yeah.
And, like we talked about this year, we talked about Black Panther, and it just made all the money.
Yeah.
It, sellout after sellout after sellout. And I don't think anybody saw that coming.
No.
They knew it was going to be good, and they knew it was going to be big, but I really think it blew expectations away.
Yeah.
Because I know we weren't scheduled for it, but I didn't care because I was in Daytona. So that was a fortunate or unfortunate, depending on your point of view, bit of coincidental timing.
Yeah.
But it was, and it just stayed. That I remember. Like people came to that forever. And then when we got it back it was after Infinity War. Because we got it back in like June for a week. And it sold more tickets. And it was the weirdest, like, why did we get this back for a week? And nobody really knows.
Yeah.
But, and it was just a good movie. That was, like we said, that was the best part of it, was that it was also really good. So that was a plus. And then Infinity War came out and just made all the money, basically. I know Black Panther made like almost all the money. Infinity War said, "Hang on, watch this."
Right, exactly.
And then they decided, after they had put out all the marketing materials and everything, we're gonna bump it up a week. At which point, like Rampage and I Feel Pretty kind of freaked out, and they were like, "We're gonna move up a week too."
Oh yeah.
Because we don't want to have to compete with that. We'd like somebody to come see our movie, and at least for Rampage, they did. Some of them, anyway. But
yeah,
that was crazy. It was great watching the scramble for that.
Oh yeah.
Because Super Troopers just said, "The hell with it." They're like, "Our movie's coming out when it's coming out, and deal with it." And that was fine, because that was another one that I get why they did a theatrical release, but they did not make money on that. I'm sure home media it did. I'm sure people bought that, like crazy for the home market. But yeah, Super Troopers 2 did not have a great theatrical run.
Yeah. No, it didn't.
The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, or whatever it is that it's officially named, when they were like, "We're going to have a category for popular films," and people went, "That's stupid." And then they sat for a while, and they thought about it for a while, and then, like, a very long while later, they came back and said, "Yeah, you're probably right. We shouldn't do that." It's like, God, how about you just have popular films be nominated for Academy Awards? Like, don't have just art house stuff. As great as they are,
Yeah. Give them a consideration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's this next year is going to be interesting, because I'm trying to think of, because I'm thinking of like the list of awards contender movies that are more the indie kind of for lack of a better term, Oscar bait in a way. And I'm coming up with Boy Erased, Green Book, and Vice.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of running out after that.
Yeah.
This time last year, we had, there was Lady Bird, and there was, this is a reflection on me that I can't remember, The Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards, and like 3 or 4 others coming out around now. And this is all I've got. I got 3. I know there was another one that I had earlier. But it's a thing of like, the Academy Awards this year are actually going to be interesting, I think. Just to see what gets nominated for what. Having read the Into the Spider-Verse script, it damn well better get nominated for adapted screenplay.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's a tone perfect script. it's a fun script to read for a fun movie. It tells the story as much as anything else. The moment when, and this is not really spoiler because obviously Miles is Spider-Man. We know that.
Yeah.
So when he has that first moment, he wakes up and he's like, huh, my pants shrunk. And then you get the comic book text box above his head.
Yeah.
There's a direction in the script that says Miles looks up, surprised at his own Spider-Man narration. And it's like that's how you write this script, man. It's perfect.
That's great.
It's so damn good. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting ceremony next year for sure.
Yeah.
It was an up and down year for the King Killer Chronicle film, which we still don't know anything about. Because Sam Raimi signed on. He was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And there was much rejoicing. And just, a month or so ago, he said, no, I'm out.
Right.
And that was a bummer. That was decidedly a bummer. In the continuing trend of hopefully getting more voices making films, and in an interesting signing, DC snagged Ava DuVernay to direct a New Gods film.
Right, that's right.
That's gonna be interesting.
Super interesting.
I'm really excited about that because I want to see, and I think a lot of it came from how she handled some of the fairly trippy aspects of A Wrinkle in Time.
Right.
And I think DC looked at that and said, you know what? She could handle Kirby.
Yeah.
She could handle that kind of artwork.
That's what I'm guessing.
And okay, let's go for it. Go to town.
Yeah.
We talked about A Quiet Place, which I misspelled on here. God, I did this. I spelled it A Quiet Place. Oh, I hate myself for this. It came out and everybody went, holy hell, this is a good movie.
It's really good.
And it made a lot of money and it surprised a lot of people. But good for them, good for Jim. Glad to see he's still working.
Yeah.
Before he went off to join the CIA.
Yeah.
There was, of course, the news that Marvel's doing an Eternals movie.
Oh, that's right.
Which I think came on the heels of DC announcing they were doing a New Gods movie. So I still
think they're going to replace that with X-Men.
Yeah. They might. I don't know. I don't think I had this on here, but didn't Feige say they were going to start working on some of this stuff as soon as 6 months? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, Comic-Con this year is going to be, when Marvel shows up to Hall H this year, because they sat out last year, which was fine. I get it. We saw everything. It's like when Sony decided not to host PSX.
Right.
It was like, we know everything. You're not going to surprise us. That's fine.
Right.
When Marvel shows up to Hall H this year, every single person in there is going to be on the edge of their seat, and it's going to deliver. No question. It's gonna be a big year for announcements. I don't think we get any. I don't know how much thunder they're gonna steal from Dark Phoenix, because by that point they'll own Fox. So,
yeah.
But I kind of think they're gonna have to. To announce.
They still have that New Mutants that's coming out in I don't even know when.
It's in April.
Next year.
It's in April, I think now. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That one will be fine. And that's I don't know, man. I'm still kind of excited for that because it still looks creepy.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, there'll have to be another new trailer here in the next 2 months to remind people. Oh, hey, by the way, this is a movie.
Yeah.
This did get made. It is done.
Oh yeah.
And then we had all the problems with James Gunn and things that he said in the past, and his initial apology, which didn't really help things. Right. And then walked it back and was like, you know what, I not only was what I did back then stupid, but the last thing I said was really stupid. And everybody who had actually worked with him, Batista in particular, came to his defense and was like, no, this is a good dude. Don't, he did stupid stuff in the past, but look at how much he's grown and matured. And everybody was coming out and saying, yeah, this was stupid, and he was kind of stupid.
Right.
But he has grown so much since then. And
Yeah.
you know, he's doing Suicide Squad 2 now, I think.
I think he's doing Suicide Squad, and he's doing did you see the trailer for that like Superman type movie?
Oh my god, Brightburn.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that looks terrifying.
Yeah.
It's great. It's like Psycho Kid Superman.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. Like that's
Yeah.
frightening. I love it. I can't wait.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Uh, and speaking of controversies, of course, Fantastic Beasts 2 was controversy before it came out and after it came out. Before it came out, obviously with Johnny Depp and the allegations therein.
Right.
And a lot of fans were just kind of going, you know what, then replace him. Like, they weren't really attached to that. And I don't think the film helped with keeping fans attached, because there were a lot of things in that movie where fans, myself in particular, looked at and just went, okay, hold on, this does not make any sense.
Yeah, I never saw it, so I'm not sure.
It's and I don't even have, like, the big twist in it was not really all that, it is not something that's really divisive for me. It's like, okay, whatever, it's a thing. But it is the little stuff and everything else, and it's like, this is a movie that is not made in the, like, it's a totally different spirit, and it feels like it's not in the actual Harry Potter universe.
Oh, wow.
It feels like it's like it feels like it's not on Earth Prime, basically. It's like it's on Earth. It's Earth 2 Harry Potter.
Oh, wow.
It does. It feels weird. And I think that if we got the fandom together to take a vote, they would agree that, like, okay, this stuff is an alternate universe.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if that has any effect on anything going forward with the next 3 that they're doing.
Yeah.
I doubt it very much. But I'll tell you what, in terms of people having a banner year, especially with superhero films, the award has to go to Nick Cage.
Yes.
Because he had a hell of he got to be Superman and Spider-Man in the same year.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
It's great.
It's wild, man. Because you're like, what's going on? Well, Nicolas Cage was Superman. What?
Yep.
Yeah. And then he was Spider-Man. In the same movie? No, God, no. Oh, okay. But in the same year? What?
Yep.
Yeah. Good for Nick Cage. His Spider-Man Noir was great. I thoroughly enjoyed him. And that is how it was written. But man, he was Nick Cage. He just dove into it.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's had a resurgence. The last 2 years, he's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So watch out, man. DC does need a new Superman. So.
Oh God.
Only if they bring back
just for fun, like Netflix and Nicolas Cage and Kevin Smith and all of them should just get together, do it.
Yeah. bring back the light bright suit.
Yeah, might as well, just for fun.
Netflix had a hell of a year themselves, by the way. The exclusive deals that they signed. I mean, Ryan Murphy, which was reportedly like a $300 million deal or something insane like that. Matt Reeves they signed a deal with. Stephen S. DeKnight, because of how good he did with Daredevil. They were like, yeah, we're gonna keep you. Kenya Barris for all the work on Blackish, which, I mean, makes sense.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, this thing really took off. We want you over here. The same, like, because what was it? Last year was Shonda Rhimes was their big acquisition. People who create things, and I mean, hell, they signed the Obamas to a production deal.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Netflix is not playing games, man.
They got the Dark Crystal coming out.
Yeah.
The documentaries are on point.
Yeah, this was a year for true crime on Netflix. Like, Netflix, like, last year, like 2017 was kind of the reemergence of stand-up comedy for Netflix. Like, Netflix was like, if you want stand-up, here you go. And 2017 was great for it, and 2018 has been better.
Right.
This year was true crime. I think next year it's concerts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true.
I mean that not facetiously, because if for anybody out there who is a fan, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they dropped the Reputation concert today,
Yeah.
and it's a hell of a production, and it's a damn good watch.
Mm-hmm. They
And
got the Umbrella Academy 2 coming out, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's I do I think this was the year that Netflix established itself for it it re-cemented itself for stand up in particular. It established itself for true crime, and
Mm-hmm.
will cement that next year. And I think
Yeah.
next year you're going to start seeing more
Witcher.
concert films. You know, they've got The Witcher, they've got Umbrella Academy. You know, their originals have always been on point for a long time now. You know, they came out of the gate swinging with House of Cards and Orange is the New Black, and they just never looked back.
Right.
So their original stuff is always on point. HBO's original stuff has sometimes been hit and miss.
In their anime too, they've been opening up their anime, the Neon.
Yeah, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, because
Dan Riker's gonna be watching that.
Oh god.
His opinions are crazy. He hates all the Spider-Man movies. It's funny because whenever he talks about Spider-Man, he just talks about Batman the whole time and how he's not Batman. And so like, when they're going over the video game discussions, they're just like, Dan, in the last 2 minutes you've just said that Spider-Man was just not Batman. Like that's all you've talked about is how he's not. This wasn't Arkham Knight. And it was funny because they told him to go see Into the Spider-Verse, and his review was like 5 stars. He was like, "This was the best Marvel movie I've ever seen." So it's funny to see but I guess what I'm getting at with that was it's funny to see someone who just doesn't like a character and goes and sees Into the Spider-Verse and falls in love with it.
It's worth watching. It's a hell of a watch.
Oops, I lost you. I lost my mic there. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
But yeah, so it was really fun to see like how much he loved that film and how him as someone who doesn't know anything about Spider-Man outside of the video games and like the movies he doesn't really like, he loved it. When he heard Nicolas Cage doing the noir thing and like all of that ate it up. So
yeah.
that's how great that movie is. You don't even have to be into that kind of stuff, still fall in love with it because it just I don't know. It's so good.
It is. It really is.
But it's gonna be funny to see him go into Neon. What is it? Genesis.
Yeah.
So I've never seen that before. So I'm gonna check it out. Like I said, just a plug for him, I guess. Go listen to his Dragon Ball podcast.
It's called what again?
All Systems Goku.
There you go.
Him and Jeff Gerstmann. Jeff Gerstmann knows a lot more about anime, but these are two guys who have just not wanted anything to do with anime. And Dan Reichert is just the epitome of like, I liked the first God of War 3 games, and I didn't think I'd like this one because it has a story. and it's funny to see him turn into an actual like human being over the last few years, where he's like, but he will admit when he's wrong. That's the cool thing about him. It's like, it's hearing someone where you're like, oh, that's so cringy, but you kind of relate because it's like that's kind of how I was like in high school, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's funny to see them like not kick back and be like, oh my god, why I was so wrong about this. So they love it. They eat it up. They're like, this is just wrestling. Why didn't anyone tell me that anime was just wrestling? He's like, there's a heel, there's twist, there's like this is straight up wrestling, and they're like, yeah, no. Jeff's like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, sorry, tangent there. Anyway, but yeah, Netflix is doing big things, and this, they're getting rid of the Marvel stuff, and you know what? It was 4 shows. Of 5 of them, I guess. 2 of them I think were just major hits. The other ones were kind of duds. I think they're doing the right thing by going, hey, look, this is owned by someone else right now, and they're about to do big things on their own app. We probably should take these toys out of our box.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we're gonna get Punisher this month in January, and 1 more season of Jessica Jones, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I hope they kill Frank. I hope the Punisher dies at the end of it. That would be the perfect, like, because you can't use his character anymore. I think it would be just so, like, that's how you should end that story, because there's no other way that could end without him getting killed.
Nah, and because he's not a character you give a happily ever after to. It's
No,
not.
no,
It doesn't.
exactly.
It doesn't work because he wouldn't know what that is.
Right,
It,
exactly.
it
And
abs-
I hope they do that because if they, I just have a feeling they're gonna be like, nope, he's alive and he's out there, he's punishing people, and nah, I don't want that. I
I
want him to,
I don't
uh,
want I don't want Dexter all over again.
exactly. Yeah, I don't want him to be lost in a storm. And oh boy,
I'm okay with him being lost in a storm. I'm not okay with him turning up as a lumberjack.
right, exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
uh,
But anyway, where were
but,
we? Yeah, so Netflix making big moves.
yeah.
Um,
Westworld came out with their second season this year, and everybody went yay, and then they watched it and went what?
I kind of want to go back to. I watched one episode, but
it's
man,
it's like it's like what happened. You know how people and I'm not quite as guilty at this with this as some, but I am guilty of this to an extent. How people kind of come down on Lost towards the
I was
end.
just about to say. I feel like
It's
that show is what people complain about Lost, and Lost is nowhere near that.
that's what I'm saying. This is exactly what people thought about
Yeah.
Lost. It
Right.
wasn't what Lost did.
Right.
Because people blew it out of proportion. It is
Right.
what Westworld did. They
Yeah.
matched that level of just everything is a twist and everything is convoluted and everything is confusing and what's going on and we're not going to tell you, but we're kind of going to tell you. We're going to give you riddles and hints and this and that, and it
Well,
confused
that's
the
the
hell out of
thing.
everybody.
That's the thing about Lost is, with Lost they asked a lot of questions, but as long as you were following the characters, you understood what was going on. You had their point of view because they were in a world that they didn't really understand, but you could relate to them because they were just normal everyday people that had to survive. With Westworld, is they didn't know what was going on, and you could not relate to the characters. You didn't know what was going through their heads because they themselves they don't know if they're a robot. They don't know what time of day it is. It's just is a
Yeah,
mess.
it's nobody knew anything,
Yeah,
and that extended to the audience.
yeah, exactly.
Um, on the plus side of TV stuff, though, we got all the news about the Mandalorian,
Yes.
which is just it just keeps sounding awesome. It's like John
Yep.
Favreau's going to do it great, and it's going to be called The Mandalorian, great, and Pedro
Hmm.
Pascal is going to star in it, great.
Yep.
And the people directing it are going to be, Dave Filoni and Deborah Chow and Bryce Dallas Howard and Rick Famuyiwa and Taika Waititi. When, now, please? Like, can we just have this already?
Exactly. When is this coming out? Exactly.
That has to launch with the service. It has to be like
Right.
Disney Plus drops. It has to be the opposite of what happened with Titans.
Hmm.
Where,
Oh man.
where it was like, here's our new service, and in like a month we're gonna start having a new show.
Yeah. And I hope it all drops at once. I hope it's not weekly. I'm afraid it's going to be, but that's okay. Um,
We'll deal.
I think Titans would have been a much better show if it was dropped at once. Because then you could be like, oh, this sucks, but I'm only going to spend like today doing it.
Yeah.
Where now it's like I just didn't like. I don't know it. Can I spoil the ending of Titans? Like, or not the ending, but like the teaser at the end.
I yeah, go ahead, because I'm
Let's
up in the
spoil
air
it
about
because
whether or not I'm gonna even watch it
because
still.
the teaser at the end had nothing to do with the plot from the first episode to the end. And by the way, they don't really. There's no. Oh man, the ending to it's basically like there should be another episode. I'm like when I saw that it was a season finale, I thought, well, wait a second, there's got to be one more episode because they get up to the point of the climax and then it just stops. There's no like it's not even a cliffhanger. It's just the climax. It's like everything's leading to this,
And
but
then
where's
it's
the
over.
last chapter? And then it goes to credits, and so spoilers. So fast forward for the next few minutes. If you don't want to hear the after credits teaser, which it's teased me, I definitely want to see what the second season is what's gonna have. But it shows like a laboratory, and everything's kind of going crazy. And you could tell there's a buffed up dude in the tank or whatever, and the like glass breaks. I kind of forget what happens, but you see the tattoo on his arm of the Superman symbol, and you
Yeah.
realize that this is Superboy.
Nice. Okay.
Yes, And so he breaks loose. They try to shoot him. Nothing. It obviously doesn't affect him. He's
Right.
Superman. He's destroying them. Probably straight up killing them. And he goes into. You see all these different creatures, and then you see the dog, and and he's in like his like whatever cage with green or whatever, and he breaks it out, and you see his eyes light up, and you realize it's Crypto. So Superboy and Crypto are going to be a part of the next season, and I thought that's cool. Like I can't wait for that, because they've now introduced Diana, so that you have Wonder Girl or whatever. So you basically have the Titans now, but man, all this stuff with Raven and stuff, like, can we just get past this? And the whole final episode wasn't, like I said, it wasn't even the conclusion. It was almost like all a dream. It was like someone was playing a trick with his mind, and this is what would happen in the Titans years from now if everything went perfect. And like I said, there's no conclusion. I want to, I don't know. I think I've given you the information, so if you want to go check it out, do it. If you're bored and have nothing else to do, like I said, if not, just go watch that Hank and Dawn episode. You don't even have to see anything else but that, and that's the best thing that show put together. It's the best hour.
Hawk and Dove.
It's not Hawk and Dove. It's
Oh, that's right. It's the flip side of that. That's right.
It's the flip side.
Yeah.
It's the story of those characters instead of the superhero, and it's really good.
Right. Well, we had talked about Jessica Jones earlier. It got season 3, and I think when I looked at this, I was like, oh, they renewed it for season 3, but aren't they canceling everything else? Because I forgot we already had a second season.
So, yeah, and see, I only saw part of the second season. I didn't see the.
For as much as I kind of shaded it there, I did enjoy it. It's not as great as the first season because Kilgrave was just an unmatchably creepy as hell villain. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. I want to see what they do.
Who was the villain in the second season?
I forget who it was for the first part, because for like the last part, it's her mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not really cut and dry. I like the kind of psychology they play with it. But it's and it does kind of it ties back a little bit to Kilgrave, and so it's interesting. I liked it. I'm curious to see what they do for what will be the last season. I'm sure. But I don't know. Should be good, and we get that sometime this year. A show that bums me out that we're not getting was the animated Donald Glover Deadpool series on FX. That sucked, because it got a straight-to-series order. They were like, yes, we love Atlanta, you love Marvel, this is perfect, do it.
Yes.
And then before it really got going, they yanked the rug out from under it. So then Glover wrote a script and was like, here's an episode about why you all suck.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Because it was also a really good script. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Did you ever watch Atlanta?
I haven't yet. No.
Oh, you gotta do that.
I know. God, because that's a problem. That list just keeps getting longer. Like, there's so much. And especially with Disney Plus, because we're finally getting more Clone Wars episodes.
Yeah.
That was a huge pop from Celebration. Like, that was crazy. People went nuts for that. But good for them.
Yeah.
Or not? Was it Celebration? Or was it Comic-Con?
It was. I'm not sure.
I can't remember. I think it was Comic-Con. Whenever it was, I don't know. There's too damn many, like, Experience, Con, Expo, whatever. I can't keep them all straight. Whenever it was when it was announced, like, people went nuts.
Yeah, there's too many.
And Netflix, this was the year that Netflix, we talked about. It was like, no more Marvel,
Right.
We made The Punisher and Jessica Jones already, so we have to release those. But after that, nothing else, no more.
Right.
But the good news is we're getting Cowboy Bebop and Avatar: The Last Airbender live action series.
Yes.
So, I don't know. It could work. It could work, and especially with some of the original creators. I think with both shows being on board as part of it. I know for sure with Bebop, and I think with Avatar as well.
Yeah.
They're just like, you know what, we're gonna do this right because Netflix. I was gonna say Netflix understands the value of not creating crappy content, but then they sign a multi-year, multi-picture deal with Adam Sandler. So what are you gonna do?
Right.
And of course, on the flip side of that was Disney Plus and everything they announced. They confirmed the Loki limited series. We kind of figure Scarlet Witch is going to get one, and Falcon and Winter Soldier are going to have like a buddy cop series, which is going to be awesome. I can't wait. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And of course, they announced, their second Star Wars series, which is going to be a prequel to Rogue One about Cassian, and they are going to get Diego Luna back for it, and I'm really just hoping that we get more of Alan Tudyk as K, because that droid was funny as hell.
Oh yeah, he was great.
He was the best part of Rogue One, which I enjoyed more than most. It sounds like.
Yeah.
But there's K was just, he stole the movie. He did.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I agree.
On the video game side of things, this was really the year that Fortnite took over the world.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where everybody is talking crossplay, even Sony.
Yeah.
Even Sony was like, we can't not do this.
Mm-hmm. It's too big. That's what it took. I remember, and I keep bringing up Giant Bomb, but I love their podcast. Jeff Gerstmann said this years ago. He's like, the only thing that's going to get them to do that is a game big enough.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
There was too much demand for it to happen. And everyone thought like it'd be Call of Duty or something like that. And who would have thought Fortnite?
Nobody, because when it came out, I looked at it and went, "Oh, a PUBG knockoff."
Yeah.
That was my first thought, and
I
didn't give it another thought until the next time I went into a CVS and bought floss. They looked at me crazy because I wasn't dancing, and I didn't know what was going on. And
right.
I would come to find out that sometimes video games ruin everything. But,
yeah.
But then R-Truth made it funny again. So what are you gonna do?
Oh yeah. It took over everything. I mean, I feel like such a freaking what do you call it, like an indie idiot. Where they're like, well, I was in it before,
Yeah.
But PUBG, that's the one I played, and I was like, oh, I like this. And like you said, when I saw Fortnite, I was like, oh, this is kind of like a knockoff. The shooting didn't feel as good. It was very cartoony. It was like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing. And then you fast forward a few months, and it's like, okay, they've added so much to this thing, and just smart decisions like doing the Thanos for a little bit, and then doing the seasons and stuff like that, like Dota and whatnot, and League, and it was like, okay, yeah, I see what they're doing, and it makes sense, and it's free, and there was just so many factors that went into it that it was the perfect timing for perfect place, all the platforms, the Switch, huge, and then you got it's the perfect boil for that. So. Yeah, man, that kind of overtook everything, and that's when I stopped playing when it got popular.
Damn kids.
Yeah.
But and this was a big year for Ubisoft too.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite so much on the video game side,
right.
But I mean, corporate wise, because I mean, anybody that's listened to this show for any length of time knows for some bizarre reason, I was really fascinated with Vivendi trying to buy Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And they just kept inching towards it, and they bought out, what was it, Gameloft or whatever was like the smaller Ubisoft kind of spin-off company that Yves, I think it was Yves' brother that ran it. Like they were taken over by Vivendi. Vivendi didn't buy them out; they took it over, according to I think French law. Like they got to a certain point where they had to initiate a hostile takeover, and that's what they were doing with Ubisoft. And they kept creeping towards it, and Ubisoft kept fighting back, and they even like at E3 2017 when they brought everybody up on stage. That was more that show of solidarity.
Yeah.
And then this year, they got what is apparently a large corporation that I'd never heard of, the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan.
Yeah.
Never heard of it before, but apparently they are loaded,
Yeah.
which shows that they pay their teachers actually, and Tencent, of course, which is a giant Chinese conglomerate,
Mm-hmm.
jumped in on Ubisoft's behalf and helped them buy back. Ubisoft started to buy back some of their own shares.
Yeah.
And then like Vivendi was losing ground, and they were starting to come back. And then when the pension plan and Tencent came in, Vivendi just threw in the towel. They're like,
Yeah.
we're done. We give up. And I'm telling you, man, I read that and I'm seeing fireworks over Cloud City. Like
Yeah.
I could just imagine like that. I don't know. To me, like I want to see this movie because this to me was so fascinating. And I like it. It's been like a 3-year saga of this at least, and it's just been ridiculously interesting to me.
Oh yeah.
But good for Ubisoft. And Far Cry New Dawn comes out next year, and so huzzah! Like let's go get it. But I did like how they keep, because they did it at E3 this year too. They brought everybody up on stage, and I like that. I think it's kind of forced Ubisoft to kind of turn a corner. And I know a lot of that started with Assassin's Creed when they were putting out one every year, and they got progressively worse. And so they took that year off and then came out with Origins. And it was like, damn. And I'll tell you what, Odyssey is even better. I really love Odyssey. And Odyssey is a huge game that feels huge. It's exactly what it's going to be. It is something that will just eat years of your life if you let it. And because there's so much to do. And it's worth doing. And I love that they put in like a little exploration mode. That's basically just for like if you want to travel and learn about because they did it in Origins where you could just travel and learn about ancient Egypt, and now it's in Odyssey where you can just travel and learn about ancient Greece. I think that's great. It doesn't it basically just turns off all the combat, and you're just like, here, go explore. I think that's awesome. You don't have to use it. Most people never will, but it's an option.
Yeah.
They've really learned and they've really picked up. I mean, we had Far Cry 5, and now we're gonna Far Cry New Dawn. So I'm excited for Ubisoft to see what comes next.
Yeah.
This was not a great year for Billy Mitchell, who was the highest score. He was the king of Kong. And then,
he was at the Citrus Bowl parade.
Was he really?
Yep.
Wow.
I was like, why is he on there? Did he get caught cheating this year?
Yeah, he did. Because Twin Galaxies said, yeah, you did this on an emulator. Like, you didn't do this on an arcade board. You did this on software. So
it was always mysterious when I found the tape. I beat here's the. He would never do it in front of people. It's like, come on.
Yeah, and it's so that was a thing. Microsoft. This was the list. I forgot to make. I knew I was gonna miss one. But Microsoft at E3, where they came out and they were like, we've heard you guys say that we lack volume when it comes to first party titles. We have the quality, Halo, Gears, Forza, but we don't have a lot to offer beyond that. So here's this list of companies we've just bought. Companies like Obsidian, for one, where they were just like, we just bought these guys to make games for us. So, what now? It was really just kind of like, and there it was on the table.
Right.
He just went, okay, fair enough. Fair point. Yeah. Well played, guys. Well done. To which Sony said, we're going to release Spider-Man, which is only on PS4, and blow everything away. I was glad to see God of War win Game of the Year. That was a pleasant surprise because I really thought it was going to go to Red Dead.
Yeah.
But for me, it's got to be Spider-Man because this was the perfect Spider-Man game. It was for video games what Spider-Verse was for movies. It was exactly the Spider-Man experience you wanted. And I still... I was playing some of it, yesterday. I've done everything twice.
Yeah, I still need to play it.
Oh, man. God, that's right. You don't have a PS4.
Yeah.
making me crazy here. It's just perfect. It's so damn good. The mechanics work, the web swinging. I'm sorry, like I'll turn that on and just web swing for an hour.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It really is. Uh, the
Yep, I want to
flips,
do that.
yeah, the flip side of that coin was Fallout 76, which even for a Bethesda game, which Bethesda has their track record of glitchy, buggy, sometimes downright broken games, which are fixable and life goes on. This game was not only glitchy and broken and buggy, it also sucked. And there were some issues of fraud with how Bethesda marketed some of the special editions.
Yeah.
So this was just a complete nightmare from beginning to end.
Train wreck.
It was nothing short of a train wreck. It was a train wreck of a hazardous materials train. It was just awful.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, and here's the thing: I don't care because I'm not a Fallout fan. This did not affect me, but this will affect Bethesda, and so going forward, they're really they're gonna have to go over Elder Scrolls 6 with a very fine-toothed comb.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Oh yeah. Sony decided not to go to E3 next year, which, okay, I guess. Their call. They get to or not to, however they want to. They have PSX, so maybe they figure that's all they need. It fits their structure better. It fits their scheduling better. So, I don't know. We'll see how well this works out.
Yeah.
Microsoft really doubled down, though. When Sony announced this, Microsoft was like, we will be there, and we will be there with bell towers on. Like, not just bells, but the whole bell tower. Like, we're bringing, we're each going to wear Big Ben, like a full life-size actual replica. That's the kind of bells they're bringing.
Oh, yeah.
But, hey, more power to them, I guess. It's going to, again, 2019 is going to be an interesting year.
Oh, yeah.
Smash coming out, a month and a half ago, give or take? Has it been that long already?
Yeah.
Whenever it came out, everybody with a Switch bought Smash. People without a Switch bought a Switch just to play Smash. It was a monster of a success, which Nintendo was counting on, and I think expecting. Let's be real.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's awesome. So, hey, bonus all around.
Yeah.
It was a good year for games, too.
Oh, yeah.
Red Dead, God of War, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Smash. It was just a good year. It really was. Spider-Man, it's a good year. I knew Forza Horizon 4. I was playing some of that earlier. It was a good year for games. There were some people it was not such a good year for. Matheson and Helios, for example, or whatever the name of the company that owned MoviePass is called. Their stock value is now worth 1% of what it used to be. They've pretty much gone bankrupt.
It's bad
at this point, and yet MoviePass is still a thing.
Yeah,
which is
it's crazy.
And we still get people come in and complain. People still come in and they're like, why won't MoviePass work? And at this point, we've all just kind of turned to them and said, because MoviePass doesn't work.
Yeah.
And they say, why? And we go, ask them. Well, they haven't gotten back to me. Yeah. It's nuts that that's still a thing that people use. Because they don't have any screenings for anything anywhere anymore. They have, they're trying new tiered pricing now. Did you see this?
No.
They're all cut. I couldn't read the details because I was laughing so hard at the fact that they are still trying. It's one thing to be the plucky underdog who gets knocked down and keeps getting back up. Right. It's another thing to know when you have lost. Now they're just being sore losers. They have lost. It is over. Their product was a flash that was completely unsustainable. And as such, it has completely run out of money. And it will not recover. It is done.
It's a disaster.
It is completely dead. It was the necessary kick in the ass that some distributors, some exhibitors needed to start their own. Alamo Drafthouse, AMC. I think there are a couple others that are working on this kind of pass. But the distributors in particular to get to work on their own thing, it was necessary. It was absolutely necessary to do something completely revolutionary. But it's done now. They need to just close the doors and say, look what we have brought, And they're going to say, hey, you ran out of money. Yeah, but we kind of changed the movie industry a little bit.
Right.
It's a completely fair point that they are willing to make, and that should be their legacy instead of being a joke by the end of it. Because now that it's done, it's past done, and it'll never come back. Cut to this time next year where MoviePass now has like a quarter of the market.
No, I don't see it lasting a month.
No, it'll never happen.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think they'd last the summer, and yet it's technically still kicking. So
that's true.
But so that's technically still a thing, but not really anymore. Toys R Us, however, went the other way. Toys R Us did go bankrupt, and then when it came time to finalize the paperwork, they looked at it and said, you know what, screw this. And so they have started Jeffrey's Toy Box, which is a little store within a store concept, and they're gonna, they were big, they went out, and now they're slowly rebuilding from small again. And I'm here for this. I'm all in for this. Let's do it. This is getting knocked off the mountaintop. And granted, it was a long fall because Toys R Us has been working at it for a while now.
Yeah.
But then you hit the bottom, and you look around, and you start finding a way back up. This is the complete opposite of MoviePass.
Yeah.
And I'm here for this, man. Bring it on. I'm excited for this. I want to see what comes next for them.
Oh yeah.
And in mildly related news, we had Hasbro decide that instead of buying the master licensing for Power Rangers, which was basically like all the toys were going to go through Hasbro, all of that stuff was going to have to go through Hasbro. They decided to just buy the whole damn brand. They were like, you know what? Actually, just give us all of Power Rangers. It cost them like 10 times what they were paying for the license, I think.
Oh yeah.
But it was like $522 million, $500 million, and I think that the licensing was like 52 million or something like that. But they were like, you know what? We're just gonna buy the whole thing. And then announced they were developing a sequel to the movie that came out. Not officially a reboot, but they were like, no, we're doing a sequel. That was what they called it. So, good for them.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it, but that's going to be a couple of years. And this was a big year in a lot of ways, not all of them good for WWE.
Yeah.
It was good. It was big in a good way because we got Daniel Bryan back, and he has just absolutely been killing it.
Yeah.
Since he returned. Great. He's been fantastic. And then things kind of went downhill.
Yeah.
There was one thing they couldn't control, which was Roman Reigns and the return of his leukemia. That was just crap all the way around, and it was unfortunate. And seeing the occasional thing about him here and there, he's fighting. He seems to be in good spirits. Wish him the best and hope he recovers.
Absolutely.
But there was one thing that they did where they could have, decided to show a little humanity, and then I remembered who owns the company.
Right.
And that was when they said, yeah, we're going to do a couple of shows in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And the first time around, everybody said, yeah, but they hate women and they kill gay people.
Right.
And they went, well, I think we can live with that. And then the second time it came around, they said, yeah, the guy you're directly dealing with is probably the one behind the murder of a journalist just because they didn't like that he was critical of him.
Yeah.
And they went, yeah, but we're getting paid a lot of money to go over there.
Yeah.
And so they went. And that's just,
It's terrible.
I don't dig it at all. But, you know, I don't run the company.
Right.
But, you know, I mean, that was the year that was. And I
Yeah.
mean, next year we've got a lot of good stuff to look forward to. You know,
Oh yeah.
we've got Glass, we've got the Lego Movie sequel.
Pokemon Detective Pikachu I turned around on.
Yeah, I did too. You know, we got a trailer for Captain Marvel, which makes it look amazing. We got a trailer for Shazam that actually makes it look funny. Hellboy is gonna be weird.
Yeah.
You know, we've got the third John Wick movie. We've got Aladdin. You know, we talked about Brightburn. I keep forgetting about Godzilla. You know, we get the next Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
We got the trailer for Men in Black International, which looks promising. Toy Story 4. Of course, we get Spider-Man: Far From Home. We get The Lion King. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because it's been a while since we've had something Tarantino.
Yeah.
We get New Mutants in August, not April. I thought it was April. It really got moved. Scary Stories. We're getting a Scary Stories movie, and
oh wow.
We get It Chapter 2, which is a book that I finally finished. And
there you go.
Damn, this is gonna be a weird movie.
Yeah.
No joke. That comes in October. The Joker. We get a Zombieland sequel in October. We get a new Terminator movie in November. We get the Swole Sonic in November.
Jeez.
We get Frozen 2.
Yeah.
We get the next Jumanji movie. We get Star Wars in December. You know, there's TV coming next year. We get Doom Patrol. We get What We Do in the Shadows, Watchmen, you know, Good Omens. And we've got video games coming out, man. Yeah. Resident Evil 2 comes out on the 25th. Kingdom Hearts 3 on the 29th. Everything comes out in February. You know, Far Cry, Crackdown, Metro, Jump Force, Anthem. We get Devil May Cry 5, The Division 2. You know, we found out not too long ago we get Mortal Kombat 11. You know, we got Rage 2. We get a Crash Team Racing HD version, basically. And we finally get Shenmue 3 in August. And this is just some of the stuff that we know about. So, I mean, it's... Yeah. I don't know, man. Next year is going to be a big year.
Yeah.
And
a lot.
Yeah. And it starts in less than an hour. So what do you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Lots of things. Hopefully more entertaining things, less death.
Yeah, can we just like take a year off from that, because it's kind of been building for a while and I don't like that. Yeah. Like,
exactly.
Can we just not have can we have like as few people as possible die next year, you know? I feel like we need a little balance.
Yes, exactly. Oh yeah. So that's the show. We will see you guys next year. Yep. How to make the dad joke.
Yeah, I made that joke at work when I left on Monday night. I was like, on Sunday night. I was like, I don't work tomorrow, so I'll see you guys next year. And it was like 1 a.m, and everybody that was there just kind of went, ah. Yeah, that sounds right.
Exactly. Well, we will see you guys later. Make sure you go to Facebook, We Geek Podcast, Twitter at We Geek Podcast, at The Logan Witt, at Adam Estep. Our YouTube, We Geek Podcast, and we're now on a new platform, aren't we?
We are on Spotify.
There you go. Check us out on Spotify.
We are hard to find if you search for us, because we don't have a big audience yet. But if you go to our Twitter has the QR code. I put the link in our group.
Okay.
So we are on there. You know, we are officially on there. We're just, and I don't know if that's a thing with their algorithm, or if it's just because we're not, because you'd think like if you searched by the exact name, it would come up.
Right.
So I'm thinking maybe it takes a couple weeks, but we are on the platform. All our episodes are on there.
Okay.
So that's why our stats look weird, because like when I submitted, I think on Christmas, Spotify was like, yes, this fits all of our requirements, so we're going to put it on our platform, which means they had to download all of our episodes.
Oh,
so our graph looks so weird. It's like 5, 12, 3, 0, 2, 170 some 0.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
But
it's
yes,
funny.
we are finally now officially on Spotify. So, hey,
Awesome.
more platforms, more distribution, hopefully more listeners.
Absolutely.
So, cheers to a bigger audience in 2019.
Absolutely. Cheers. Whew, I need a drink. All right. Well, you guys have a good one. You too, Logan.
Yeah, man.
Captain.